On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected.
Thank you to all our amazing channel members for your generous support.
Sharon Tate, a rising Hollywood star of the late 1960s, met a tragic and violent end on August 9, 1969, in one of the most infamous murders in American history. At just 26 years old and 8.5 months pregnant, Tate was brutally killed in her Los Angeles home by followers of Charles Manson. The attack, which also claimed the lives of 4 others, was carried out under Manson's delusional belief that the murders would spark a race war he called helter-skelter. This crime reflected the darker undercurrents of the era, an age marked by social upheaval, cultural rebellion, and the collapse of the 1960s peace and love ideal. Tate's death was not just a personal tragedy, but a cultural rupture. She had embodied a new kind of Hollywood glamour, fresh, natural, and modern, appearing in films like Valley of the Dolls, 1967, and drawing attention for her beauty and charm. Her murder, shocking in both brutality and randomness, shattered the carefree image of Los Angeles celebrity life. The idea that fame and wealth could protect someone from violence was suddenly proven false, sending a wave of fear through Hollywood's elite. The immediate consequences were profound. The media frenzy was relentless, and public fascination with the Manson murders persisted for decades. In Hollywood, security tightened, parties became more exclusive, and the countercultural trust of strangers faded. The case dominated headlines, and the ensuing trial became a grim spectacle, cementing Manson and his family as symbols of a corrupted and dangerous fringe of the 1960s movement. In death, Tate's legend grew. She became a tragic symbol of innocence destroyed, her image forever frozen in youthful beauty. Unlike historical figures whose deaths marked political shifts, Tate's murder shifted cultural perception, ending the myth of an idyllic, free-spirited California dream and ushering in a more cynical, guarded era. Her story continues to be retold in books, documentaries, and films, from true crime accounts to artistic reimaginings like Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, which offered an alternate, hopeful ending to her fate. This reflects a broader truth about humanity's relationship with mortality and memory. When reality is unbearably tragic, we sometimes turn to art to rewrite it, preserving not just the person but the possibility of what might have been. In commemorating Sharon Tate, we grapple with the fragility of life, the destructive allure of power and manipulation, and the enduring human need to find meaning, even in the darkest endings. Jerry Garcia, the iconic frontman of the Grateful Dead, died on August 9, 1995, at the age of 53. His death, from a heart attack while staying at a California drug rehabilitation facility, was the culmination of decades of health struggles exacerbated by drug addiction, poor diet, and the grueling demands of life on the road. Garcia's passing reflected the challenges of his era, the countercultural 1960s and its aftermath, where artistic freedom and relentless touring often came at the cost of physical well-being. The sex, drugs, and rock and roll ethos, romanticized by fans, took a heavy toll on many musicians, and Garcia's death was a sobering reminder of those consequences. Garcia was more than a musician, he was a cultural figurehead. With the Grateful Dead, he built a devoted fan community known as Deadheads, who followed the band with near-religious dedication. The band's music, infused with improvisation, folk influences, and psychedelic experimentation, was inseparable from the spirit of the 1960s counterculture. When Garcia died, it was not simply the loss of a performer, it marked the symbolic end of an era. For many, the Grateful Dead's communal, free-spirited ethos felt irreplaceable without him at the helm. The immediate consequences were seismic for the music world. Fans held spontaneous vigils across the United States, gathering in parks, concert venues, and even outside the band's former haunts to celebrate Garcia's life through music and remembrance. The band officially disbanded a few months later, underscoring his irreplaceable role as both musical leader and cultural anchor. His death also sparked deeper conversations about substance abuse in the music industry and the physical costs of long-term touring, a topic still relevant today. Garcia's legend only grew after his passing. Posthumous releases, tribute concerts, and memorial art helped preserve his image as a gentle, introspective artist whose guitar work and songwriting touched generations. He became a symbol of authenticity in music, a man who never chased commercial trends yet achieved lasting influence. In remembering Garcia, we see humanity's complex relationship with mortality, art, and memory. His death invites reflection on how we honor creative spirits who shape our cultural identity, even as we acknowledge their vulnerabilities. Through murals, documentaries, and the enduring circulation of Grateful Dead bootlegs, Garcia is immortalized, not just for his music, but for embodying the ideals and contradictions of a generation that sought freedom at any cost. His departure reminds us that while life is fleeting, the art and communities it inspires can endure far beyond the artist's final performance. Patricia Hitchcock, the only child of legendary filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock and his wife Alma Reville, died on August 9, 2021, at the age of 93. Her death was from natural causes, a quiet end to a life spent partly in the public eye, but largely outside the spotlight. Unlike the dramatic or tragic exits of many Hollywood figures, Patricia's passing reflected a different narrative, that of a woman who lived a long, steady life, balancing personal fulfillment with a legacy tied to one of cinema's most influential families. Born in 1928 in London, Patricia grew up surrounded by the artistry and meticulous storytelling of her parents. She appeared in a handful of her father's films, including Stage Fright, 1950, and the classic Strangers on a Train, 1951, and she made multiple appearances on Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Yet rather than chasing fame, she chose a path that prioritized family and selective creative work, a decision reflecting mid-20th century values of privacy and domestic stability, even amid Hollywood's golden age. The immediate consequences of her death were felt most deeply among film historians, Hitchcock enthusiasts, and the classic cinema community. While she was not a cultural icon in the same way as her father, Patricia played a crucial role in preserving and promoting his legacy after his death in 1980. Her passing signaled the loss of a living bridge to Alfred Hitchcock's world, a first-hand witness to his creative process, his perfectionism, and the family dynamics that shaped him. For those invested in film history, it was a reminder that personal memories and intimate knowledge of great artists are finite resources, inevitably lost with each passing generation. Patricia's death did not shift the course of history in dramatic political or cultural terms, but it amplified appreciation for her role as a custodian of her father's work. Interviews, memoirs, and public appearances she gave during her lifetime remain valuable artifacts for scholars and fans seeking deeper insight into Hitchcock's artistry. Her life and death speak to humanity's quieter relationship with mortality, the understanding that legacy is not always built on fame, but sometimes on stewardship and preservation. Through documentaries, retrospectives, and continued screenings of her father's films, Patricia Hitchcock is indirectly immortalized, her contributions woven into the ongoing celebration of his genius. In remembering her, we see how history honors not only the towering figures themselves, but also those who protect and carry forward their stories, ensuring that the cultural impact of an era is never entirely lost to time. Bernie Mack, born Bernard Jeffrey McCullough, died on August 9, 2008 at the age of 50 from complications of pneumonia. His passing was sudden and shocking, not only because of his relatively young age, but also because just weeks before, he had been actively working on film and television projects. While Mack had lived for years with sarcoidosis, a chronic inflammatory disease, he had often spoken about keeping it under control. The abrupt nature of his death reflected both the unpredictability of serious illness and the fragility of life, even for those seemingly at the peak of their careers. Mack's career embodied the late 20th and early 21st century rise of African American comedians into mainstream prominence. From the original Kings of Comedy tour to the Bernie Mac Show, his humor was unapologetically rooted in personal truth, blending sharp wit with heartfelt life lessons. His death in 2008 came at a time when comedy was increasingly being recognized as a space for cultural commentary, making the loss of such a distinctive voice particularly impactful. The immediate consequences of his passing were felt across the entertainment industry. Tributes poured in from fellow comedians, actors, and fans worldwide. For the black comedy community especially, his death was not just the loss of a performer, but of a mentor and barrier breaker. His absence created a noticeable gap in the style of comedy he championed, honest, bold, and deeply personal. The shockwaves also extended to the projects he left behind. Films like Soul Men and Madagascar, Escape to Africa were released posthumously, casting them in a bittersweet light. Bernie Mac's death amplified his legend in part because his comedic philosophy, rooted in authenticity and resilience, took on new poignancy. Fans revisited his stand-up specials and television work with fresh appreciation, finding in them a kind of timeless wisdom about family, hardship, and perseverance. His passing speaks to humanity's complex relationship with mortality, especially when a life feels unfinished. Mac's humor often revolved around confronting uncomfortable truths, and in death, he became a reminder of the importance of living fully and speaking one's truth without hesitation. Today, he is immortalized through his body of work, which continues to inspire comedians and entertain audiences. Whether through televised reruns, streaming platforms, or documentary retrospectives, Bernie Mac's voice remains a vibrant part of cultural memory, proof that even in absence, laughter has the power to preserve a legacy. Herman Hesse, the German-Swiss novelist, poet, and painter, died on August 9, 1962, at the age of 85 in Montagnola, Switzerland. His death was from natural causes, specifically a cerebral hemorrhage, after years of declining health. Unlike the violent or politically charged deaths of some historical figures, Hesse's passing was quiet, reflective of a life spent largely in pursuit of inner peace, artistic expression, and spiritual understanding. In many ways, the manner of his death mirrored the central themes of his work: an acceptance of life's impermanence and a belief in the cyclical nature of existence. Hesse's career spanned some of the most turbulent decades of the 20th century, from the upheaval of World War I to the ideological divides of the Cold War. His writings, such as Siddhartha, Steppenwolf, and The Glass Bead Game, resonated with a generation searching for meaning beyond materialism, nationalism, and conformity. By the time of his death, he had become a symbol of intellectual resistance to the dehumanizing forces of modern society. His quiet departure reflected the values of his era's countercurrents, a rejection of spectacle in favor of introspection, and an emphasis on the spiritual over the political. The immediate consequences of his passing were felt most strongly in literary and philosophical circles. Obituaries in Europe and beyond celebrated him not merely as a novelist, but as a spiritual guide for the modern world. In the decade following his death, especially during the late 1960s, Hessa's works experienced a revival among young readers in the West, who were engaged in countercultural movements, seeking enlightenment through Eastern philosophy and questioning traditional Western values. His death, in a sense, amplified his legend, freeing him from the controversies of his own time and allowing his works to stand as universal meditations on the human condition. Hessa's passing underscores humanity's enduring fascination with the link between mortality and meaning. While some figures are immortalized for acts of heroism or tragedy, Hessa is remembered for his ability to articulate the quiet struggles of the soul. We preserve his legacy through continuous study in literature courses, adaptations of his works, and the enduring popularity of his novels in print. In death, as in life, Hessa reminds us that legacy is not always forged in public spectacle. It can also be crafted in the private, enduring dialogue between author and reader. His life and passing invite us to consider how art can outlive its creator, carrying forward their vision of what it means to live deeply and authentically. Susan Wojcicki, the former CEO of YouTube, passed away on August 9, 2024 at the age of 56 after a 2-year battle with non-small cell lung cancer. Her death marked the end of a transformative era in the tech industry, where she had been a pioneering figure. Wojcicki's journey into the tech world began in 1998 when she rented her garage to Google's founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. This humble beginning led her to become Google's first marketing manager and later its advertising chief, playing a crucial role in building the company's advertising empire. In 2014, she became the CEO of YouTube, overseeing its evolution into the world's leading video sharing platform. Under her leadership, YouTube's revenue soared to over $30 billion, and its user base grew to nearly 3 billion, profoundly influencing entertainment, politics, and culture. Despite her significant contributions, Wojcicki faced challenges during her tenure, particularly concerning content moderation and the platform's role in the spread of misinformation. She navigated these issues with a commitment to balance, striving to uphold free expression while addressing harmful content. Her approach reflected the complex dynamics of the digital age, where technology intersects with societal values and concerns. Beyond her professional achievements, Wojcicki was a staunch advocate for women in technology, championing policies that promoted work-life balance and parental leave. She was also a philanthropist, supporting various causes including education and cancer research. Her legacy is one of empowerment, innovation, and a relentless pursuit of progress. In the wake of her passing, tributes poured in from across the globe, honoring her as a visionary leader who reshaped the digital landscape. Her death underscored the profound impact individuals can have on the world, leaving an indelible mark on history. Susan Wojcicki's life and work serve as a testament to the power of vision, resilience, and the enduring quest to make a meaningful difference. Her contributions will continue to inspire future generations, reminding us of the transformative potential of technology when guided by thoughtful and compassionate leadership. Matthew McGroy, the Guinness World Record holder for the tallest actor at 7 feet 6 inches, passed away on August 9, 2005, at the age of 32. He died at his home in Sherman Oaks, California, due to congestive heart failure, a condition often associated with his extraordinary height. McGroy's towering stature, combined with his deep voice, made him a distinctive figure in the entertainment industry. He gained early attention through appearances on talk shows like The Howard Stern Show and music videos for artists such as Marilyn Manson and Iron Maiden. His film career included roles in Bubble Boy, Men in Black 2, and Big Fish, where he portrayed Carl the Giant. At the time of his death, McGroy was working on a biopic about Andre the Giant, reflecting his deep connection to the role and the wrestler's legacy. His passing was a poignant reminder of the health challenges faced by individuals with gigantism, a condition that contributed to his remarkable size. The immediate consequence of McGroy's death was a wave of tributes from colleagues and fans alike, honoring his contributions to film and his unique presence on screen. The film, The Devil's Rejects, was dedicated to his memory, underscoring the impact he had on those he worked with. In reflecting on McGroy's life and death, we are reminded of the complexities of mortality and the human condition. His legacy challenges us to consider how we perceive and value individuals who differ from societal norms and how their contributions can leave lasting impressions on culture and memory. McGroy's legacy endures through film, fan tributes, and the quiet reverence with which he is remembered. His story reflects humanity's complex relationship with mortality and power, how we mythologize those who defy physical norms, and how we use art to immortalize their essence. In literature and cinema, giants often symbolize strength or otherness. McGroy redefined that archetype, embodying gentleness and introspection. His life and death remind us that memory is shaped not just by how someone lived, but by how they made others feel.